Do you realize just how good LEGO Star Wars fans have had it the past couple of years? Just in the past 5, we've gotten iconic playsets, UCS sets, figures, promos, and games like the ones you see here, and we will no doubt look back on these one day and say to ourselves, that was the golden age of LEGO Star Wars. But is it? If we were to take a look at the last 5 years of LEGO Star Wars, how would it stack up against the other great 5-year periods like 2005 to 2009 or 2010 to 2014? We don't really have to think about 2015 to 2019 because, well, yeah, but let's take a look at what each 3 of these periods have to offer and see which one is truly the golden age of LEGO Star Wars. Starting with the recent 5 years, let's take a look at some of the stuff we got. Unlike 2015 to 2019, there were no official Star Wars movies that came out, so besides remakes of older sets, LEGO focused heavily on new Disney Plus TV shows. I think we can all agree that most of the ones we got from The Mandalorian were bangers because there were a lot of new concepts explored. We got new ships like the iconic Razor Crest in both play and UCS form, and Mando's cool N1 Starfighter. This show also gave us more Mandalorian themed sets like the Fang Fighter, the Forge, and my personal favorites, the recent Battle Pack and Moff Gideon's base. Unfortunately, Disney Plus had to make the Obi-Wan and Boba Fett shows as well, so we did have to get some sets from those. Even though they came with some newer minifigures, these just missed the mark, whether it was due to the prices or lackluster builds. But wrapping up the shows, we did get some amazing Ahsoka sets and one nice looking Andor build. Seriously though, this Ahsoka Fall Wave has to be one of the best I've ever seen with its minifigure lineup, popping colors, and strong builds. Over this period, we also got some of the best clone packs ever. It's obvious LEGO is listening to their fans more than ever right now, and it's actually getting to the point where clones are becoming a little overrated in my opinion. But thankfully, the best value battle pack came out recently, and it gives fans a chance to build droids too. It's actually crazy to think about just how many iconic UCS sets that we've gotten recently. Mos Eisley Cantina, the Gunship, the Razor Crest, AT-AT, the Venator, and possibly something else coming towards the end of 2024. Just these sets alone are enough to make any fan stop and honor these last 5 years as some of the best. All of these sets I mentioned also come with some of the most detailed figures in terms of printing, but I do have to say it's sad to see them move away from adding other cloth details besides capes. A big shout out though to 2024 for giving us an amazing lineup with new characters and molds. Something this recent period has missed the mark on is its packaging. From 2020 and onward, we saw a ton of black boxes for the bigger sets and LEGO's new style of the minifigure in the bottom corner to signify which piece of media it's from. Tied to this decision is also the marketing for the sets. Whether it's in magazines, banners, or special store displays, the marketing is just missing that classic LEGO magic that it's had in earlier years. In 2022, we got the newest LEGO Star Wars video game being the Skywalker Saga. This game had so much hype around it for the fact that it would cover all 9 movies, its amazing graphics, and free world play. But it ultimately fell short of expectations because of how easy it was and its lack of popular features from the first game, like character customization. Something I can attest to personally for the last 5 years is just how awesome this community has been along with its creators online. When I was starting to get back into LEGO, all I would do when I was saving up for my next set was watch worst to first videos of older years or reviews of sets. I also enjoyed watching vlog content from people within the community and getting involved with different Instagram pages. That's ultimately how I was inspired to start my channel. I don't even think it's a question that this period has the best community in creators because of the fact it's so easy to stay connected, in contact, and share ideas, so I probably won't even take a look at it in the earlier years we're gonna look at. The final thing I'll say is that over the last 5 years, we've seen the progression and broad acceptance of third-party products that enhance official sets, specifically speaking, lighting kits. For instance, I wish Light My Bricks was around when I was a kid because I could have had my collection looking extra cool with their lights. They actually just came out with their newest product, Light My Bricks 2.0, which has the thinnest wires on the market and allows you to install your lights while building your set. I actually got this Light My Bricks 2.0 kit for this R2-D2, and the wires are so thin that it leaves 0 gaps in between the bricks. Installing lights into your LEGO has never been this easy or accessible, so I'll have to keep that in mind while considering the true golden age of LEGO Star Wars. If you're trying to check out their 2.0 kits for yourself, click the link in my bio to check out the different options they have in their store. You will not be disappointed. disappointed. Thank you to Light My Bricks for sponsoring this video. Now let's wind it back to what seems to be a lot of LEGO Star Wars fans' favorite period, 2010 to 2014. Knocking out a couple of the smaller sets first, we got a ton of top-tier battle packs. It's crazy to think that for 3 years in a row, we had the Bomb Squad, Elite Clone Trooper, and Attack of the Clones battle packs. Another slept-on battle pack was from the Old Republic wave of sets. It came with a pair of Sith and Old Republic troopers that are now pretty sought after. I feel like that whole wave in 2012 was slept on because now every single set from it is going for insane prices. This period gave us some new original trilogy sets like the Wampa Cave, the best pair of pod racers we've ever gotten, the controversial Jabba's Palace, Rancor Pit to go along with it, and the legendary Ewoks Village. They haven't really remade any of those since, even with the constant begging from us fans. But that's probably because they weren't even the best ones LEGO could remake. For instance, in 2011, we got the Jedi T6 Shuttle, which was a big hit along with the Clone Wars show. We also got the pre-Vizsla Mandalorian Starfighter, which came with a great pre-Vizsla with the cloth piece. 2013 gave us the newer sail barge, gunship, and AT-TE that remain some of the best sets in LEGO Star Wars history, which is why they've been remade these last couple of years, or in the process of doing so. Potentially. There are so many other great ones that were made for the first and only time over the span of these 5 years, and because of that, I don't think any of them has a mid-wave. Feel free to comment down below if any of the sets I've mentioned or shown on screen are considered mid at this point in time. I mean, sure, maybe the Freako Speeder, but it's actually a very solid and unique build for the price. On a real note, who's gonna match his Freako? I haven't even gotten to the UCS sets yet. Some standouts from the crowd are the goated Imperial Shuttle, Super Star Destroyer, and Sandcrawler. In my opinion, they're all super simple builds with nothing crazy in terms of detail, but I think that's why they stand out in our minds as some of the best and most recognizable from Star Wars. They did have some duds in the Obi-Wan's Jedi Starfighter and B-Wing, but at least they were fresh ideas at the time, and LEGO did the best with what pieces they had. I'm sure you've already noticed these spectacular minifigures in these set images, but I want to show you these promotional posters that were thrown in the sets at the time. Just look at the lineups here. LEGO really liked to hype up each of the year's lineups, which I always appreciated. This time period gave us a lot of figures we hadn't seen before, like from Rebels, the Old Republic, and lots of Clone Wars ones. I'd even go ahead and say this period of figures has a way better selection compared to the others, but the quality is just a bit better in 2020 to present. Piggybacking off the minifigure posters, we also got some great marketing from the Shop at Home catalogs, club magazines, and mini-movies LEGO Star Wars was making around that time. For instance, we had Bombad Bounty in 2010, the Padawan Menace in 2011, and the Empire Strikes Out in 2012. These were some of the first examples of LEGO demonstrating their now popular humor and was a great way to show off their new sets and minifigures. For all you gamers out there, you'll probably remember the release of LEGO Star Wars 3: The Clone Wars. Now, I've never played this game myself, but I always wanted to just because of how fun the gameplay looked. You also got to play as your favorite Clone Wars character like Rex, Cody, Asajj, and Grievous. I know it was also pretty big because you could go to battle with whole armies of clones and droids or something like that. And from the videos I've seen, you could even fight the freaking Zillo Beast. I haven't even played it for myself, and I'd still put it over the Skywalker saga. The last thing that stands out to me during the 2010 to 2014 period was its promotionals. Like, these are the gold standard of what LEGO should be giving us today. Revan is one of the most expensive figures you can buy now. The Chrome Stormtrooper is legendary, White Boba Fett is something of dreams, and the Shadow Arf Clone Trooper is one every collector chases. All that being said, those 5 years were really good, but let's see how the third and final period from 2005 to 2009 compares. These years were simply incredible for LEGO Star Wars. Emphasis on simple. It's so hard not to label this period the Golden Age just off nostalgia alone, but let's get into it and look at some of the sets. In 2005, Revenge of the Sith was coming out in theaters, and LEGO capitalized off this by making a whole year's worth of Episode 3 sets. These were amazing and hit the mark in every way, even though the builds can be improved upon now thanks to our new pieces. But look at all these sets and minifigures that were being made for the very first time. We were getting Kashyyyk sets, Battle over Coruscant sets, and even play sets from the final, darker scenes of the movie like the duel on Mustafar or Darth Vader's transformation. New ideas were being explored like flesh tone on minifigures, light up lightsabers, new molds and colors for clones, and even the box art. This same energy was transferred into the next year, where they would continue to make astounding sets with tons of great play features. They were making a lot of prequel sets leading up to this year, so they went back to the original trilogy stuff and hit it out of the park with sets like the Slave One, Star Destroyer, and Jabba's Sail Barge. 2007 is where LEGO started smoothing out their sets more, simplifying their sets, and figuring out packaging. This made for some very standout standout builds like the legendary MTT, limited edition Republic Cruiser, and smaller sets like the Naboo Starfighter. This is the year LEGO came out with their first battle packs, which were amazing with the droids and OG Phase 2 clones. It made for such a fun childhood growing up, always carrying some of these figures around with me. 2008 and 2009 sets coincided with the release of the Clone Wars TV show, which is why we got a ton of sets inspired by it. The sets themselves were great, although fans weren't sure how to feel about the new style of faces on the figures. As time would go on, this design choice would be remembered as new and fresh for the time, and definitely made the sets they came in stand out even more than others. Getting all of those iconic Clone Wars sets, along with some original trilogy ones, in the span of 2 years is probably something we'll never see again from LEGO Star Wars. That summarizes the 2005 and 2009 period because they didn't have multiple TV shows or new sets fans were begging them to make. The LEGO team could focus on one movie or TV show for a couple of years and test to see what worked and what didn't. They even had the freedom to throw in some oddballs like the TIE Crawler or midi-scale Falcon and didn't necessarily have to worry about how they'd be received. This is the freedom that I wish we still saw in LEGO Star Wars today, but unless there's a TV show like Rebuild the Galaxy coming out, we just won't see it. To quickly touch on the minifigures from this period, we got some good ones, but nothing crazy that stands out unless you're a huge fan of the simple style like I am. As I mentioned, we got the light-up figures from 2005, which are great, the rare Kashyyyk clone from the Turbo Tank, and then nothing else crazy until 2008 and 2009, where we saw the Clone Wars figures. We did get 2 more figures that were insanely cool, but we'll talk about them in a bit. Of course, I have to talk about marketing for this period. There's so much to talk about here, but I'll just summarize some of the highlights. Obviously, the box arts are beautiful, and they helped push LEGO into some of the best ones we saw in 2010 to 2014. To hype up their sets in 2005, they made Revenge of the Brick, which aired on Cartoon Network and even featured at the end of video games or movies at the time. In 2009, they made the mini-movie Hunt for R2-D2, which they made into DVD and even came out with a Flash Player game us fans could play on LEGO.com. Speaking of video games, in 2005, they released LEGO Star Wars the video game, which covered all the prequel movies, and in 2007, they came out with the complete saga, which added on their original trilogy movies. These games are absolutely legendary in the lore of humanity and will never be topped. Finally, we can't not talk about the hidden chrome minifigures. In 2007, LEGO hid a bunch of chrome gold C-3POs in a bunch of their sets, which made it exciting to buy them and try to find one. They also did the same concept in 2009 with chrome Darth Vader. These are super expensive minifigures when they sell on the market today, and it's every fan's dream to open up one of those old sets and hopefully get one. I know it's mine with this General Grievous Starfighter set from 2007. I feel like this period was a giant stepping stone into 2010 to 2014 that gave us peak magazines, promos, and marketing. And this leads me into my answer for which years are the real golden age of LEGO Star Wars. After refreshing myself on what each period does best, it's clear that they all have their strengths and weaknesses, but one stands out as clear best across all categories. So far, 2010 to 2014 is the golden age of LEGO Star Wars. With their iconic box arts, marketing, mini-movies, and promotions, these sets really stand out from the rest in terms of vibe. More importantly, their sets and minifigures have some of the most legendary items that a lot of fans often reference when looking for new ones today. The builds have an amazing mix between displayability and play that set the bar for what LEGO Star Wars should be doing today. Although most of their minifigures aren't as detailed as the ones we get now, it's no question the quality and look of them hold up really well. Please let me know if I chose right and why you agree or disagree in the comments.